It's magic. Yeah, I think I have everything in the right place now. Whew, what would love do? Send love to me. My top title today is The Love That Lives Within. So happy Halloween. I can tell that some of you know it's Halloween. And I'm glad you're here, so I'm not the only one dressed up. What mask are you wearing this Halloween season? Are you wearing the mask of self-centeredness? Or are you wearing the mask of the bringer of spirit? Are you the goblin? Or are you the god? Maybe you're wearing the mask of superiority. Maybe you're wearing a mask of superstition. How about a mask of prejudice? There are many different masks that we can wear. The mask of hurt, many of us wear. So think about the mask that you wear, and how can you give up that mask this Halloween season, and for the rest of your life, to live from yourself, to take away that fake mask, and to live your true life. And that's what I want to talk about today. Many people think that we fool one another with our words. But I want to tell you that it's our actions in life that really will make a difference. We can say whatever we want, but it's our actions that really show who we are at the core of our being, what we're feeding and what we're doing with our lives. Now, we're taught by our families, by friends, by ministers, by a lot of people to be one way, to act or to do or to think in some way. And if that's not your authentic being, if that's not really something that resonates with you, then I invite you to take off that mask that they try to put on you, so that you can live from within, so that you can reveal who it is that you really are here to be in this world. You see, we're each a unique expression of God. Even identical twins have a difference in their DNA. And so we're all unique expressions. And we all need to live our lives not like someone else, trying to be some masked figure, but be open. Drop the mask of this season and open yourself up to who you really are in the world. It's not our words that define us, but it's our actions in the world that really tell who we are. I said each of us was made in the likeness and image of God, and God is love. Have you heard that a time or two in life? God is love, unconditional love. So if we are living as our nature, then we're living as unconditional love. And if we're covering that up with some mask, then we have some work to do, don't we? To really be authentic in the world, to be who we need to be. There is no greater impulse than to love. We can express love in so many ways, but do our actions follow our words? Some of us would say, do you walk your talk? Have you ever heard somebody that said all kinds of great things, but that wasn't the action that they really took in life? There were two friends that were out in a rowboat. And as they rowed out into the middle of the lake, the one friend took out a hand drill from his pocket and started to drill a hole in the bottom of the boat. His friend was flabbergasted. He said, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" You're going to drill a hole in the boat. The water's going to come in and we're going to drown. And the friend said, oh, don't worry. I'm just drilling a hole under my seat. Do our actions really follow the words that we say? It's our actions that people will notice, not what we're saying. It's hard for a preacher to say that, isn't it? It's not what I say, it's what I do. It's our actions and how we live that really makes a difference in the world. Whoops. Go back one. So what I have learned was that people hold pain within, and that pain that we carry when we're not giving love out means that we create toxicity around us. Have you ever been around somebody that you said, ooh, they're really toxic? And typically that's because they're not really giving love out into the world. They're withholding that love that is within their power to give. And they are holding that pain so close that it creates toxicity in life. Don't be toxic. Share from the love that's within you. Enjoy giving from that nature of the divine that is at your core. You don't fool anyone with a mask of your words. It's really the presence that they feel when they're around you and your actions. And that's what's going to make a difference. There was a woman who was in the hospital. She was cleaning the infected sores on the festering body of her friend. It wasn't a pleasant sight or smell. And someone walked by and said, I wouldn't do that for $1 million. Without even pausing in her work, the woman said, neither would I. What would you do for love that you would never do for pay? I can tell you that I have lived enough years now to know that there are experiences in my life that I have done out of love. That if someone said, would you go do this? I'll pay you. I wouldn't have taken pay for it. But because we love, because we come from that divine nature within us, we can step into things that might be very difficult to do. Coming from that love allows us so much more strength. So my first point here is to come from love. This is the authentic you. When you really come from that nature within, that love that resides within you, and we all have it there. It may be covered up with a mask, but it's there within you. It's the impulse of all of us to love. And so when we come from love, we are authentic. Eckhart Tolle said, to offer no resistance to life is to be in a state of grace, of ease and lightness. This state, then, is no longer dependent upon things being in a certain way, good or bad. You see, when we come, we offer no resistance to life. We accept things as it comes to us. Then we're able to know that the strength within us, the divine within us, will carry us through whatever the situation is. And in that situation, we will find peace. We will find joy. We will find life. And we will give love to others. In the Science of Mind textbook, page 640, it says, hate begets hate. Strife produces strife. Love alone overcomes all and justifies the eternity of her dominion. Love alone overcomes all. So that's why I encourage us to come from that love that is within us, to know that that is the strength of our being, and that is what will take us and carry us through life, even when there's things that we have to do or get to do that we would never do for pay, but we do them because we love. When has the presence of love made you feel safe in the midst of a situation? Think about that for a moment. Have you had experiences in life where you really felt safe because you knew you were loved? You knew that you were supported by your partner, your spouse, the universe, your friends, whoever. And so you were safe in that situation. And has there been a time in your life when you had somebody put on their mask and speak loving words to you, telling you something that you knew was not really their heart? It was an ulterior motive, just to pacify you, maybe? But you saw through it, and you knew that it was a hollow mask of just painted words that they were giving you. It wasn't their true heart. We all have that ability within us. In the Bible, 1 John chapter 3, verse 18, it says, "Little children, let us not love with words or speech, but with action and truth." It's our actions that make a difference in our lives and in the lives of others. So let us not love with words and speech. Don't just do the talking, but do the action and the truth of your being. In James, the 2nd chapter, there's a verse that says, "Faith without works is dead." Some people say faith without action is dead. So again, it's our actions that we take that really make a difference for us. I'd like to share a story with you about two friends. Two very good friends named Samuel and Jacob. They grew up together on the same street. They spent a lot of their childhood together. They studied together in school. They loved one another, supported one another. And then they both grew up, got married, and had children of their own. But their friendship was so strong that they vowed that when one of them had moved away, they would see one another at least once a year. They would really put that in their consciousness to be able to support and love one another. It was Samuel who had moved to another country. And once, during his travels, Jacob, his friend, realized that he was near the city where Samuel lived. So naturally, he wanted to see his friend. But he didn't know if it was going to be possible for him to go and visit his friend because Samuel's country was at war with another country. And it wasn't safe to be anywhere near the city where Samuel lived. Jacob decided this was his friend, and he really wanted to see his friend. And so he went into Samuel's city, and it was almost nightfall. But before he could find Samuel's house, the police arrested him. They charged him with being a spy who had come to steal military secrets. Jacob was brought to trial immediately. He was found guilty and sentenced to be hanged in the gallows. What a terrible fate for someone who just wanted to visit a friend. Jacob was very sad as he sat in his cell, awaiting his hanging. He thought about his wife and his little children, and he wept bitter tears. The time came for Jacob's hanging, and as was the custom in that country, the king came out for the hanging. Seeing the king, Jacob fell to his knees and cried out, "Your Majesty, gracious king, I am innocent of any wrongdoing. I did not commit these horrible crimes, so would you do me one favor? Please give me 1 week to bid farewell to my wife, my children, and to provide for my family. I give you my solemn pledge that I will promise that I will return to face my fate within 1 week." The king laughed. "My courts have told me that you're a spy, and now you want me to grant you 1 week's leave? How do I know your promise is worth anything? And how can I be sure you will return?" Before he could answer the king, a man pushed his way through the crowd and yelled, "Good king, I will be this man's pledge. I will take his place in jail, and if he doesn't return in 1 week, as he promised, you may hang me instead." The king was astonished. He said, "Who are you, and why do you offer yourself in place of this prisoner?" The man replied, "My name is Samuel. This has been my friend since we were children. I know that he is a good man, and I know the trouble has befallen him because he has come to your city just to see me as his friend. If he says he will return, then he will return. So let him go and take care of his household, and I will remain here in his place." The king was so moved by Samuel's words that he agreed. Jacob was freed to go home for a week, and Samuel was put in jail. The week passed. The gallows were ready. The time for the hanging came, but Jacob did not return. The sun began to set. The darkness began to fall. Still Jacob had not returned, not that anyone in the city expected him to. The king and the nobleman came to the town square, and a large crowd had gathered to see the outcome of this strange case. Samuel was brought from the jail and stood at the gallows. Night fell. The moon appeared. The stars twinkled. The king gave the order, "Let the hanging take place." The hangman put the noose around Samuel's neck. Suddenly they heard this loud cry, "Wait! Wait! I'm here! Do not hang my friend! I'm here to receive my own punishment!" And there was Jacob making his way through the crowd, rushing to his own hanging in order to save his friend. The people in the crowd cheered and clapped. The king was so touched by this show of loyalty that he said, "Because of your true friendship, I will pardon the stranger. He may go free." And then the king turned to Samuel and Jacob, and he said, "There's one thing I ask. Let me be the third friend to the two of you." Do our actions show up in life as love? Are there things that you would do for love that you would never do for pay? Do you walk your talk? Do you come from the love that is within you? Have you cultivated friendships that are as deep as these, as Samuel and Jacob? My second point for today is when love lives within, there is no fear. You see, when we recognize our oneness with God, when we are assured that God is our very strength that wells up from within us, then we feel that power, that unlimited power that can take us through any situation. We come from love, and there is no fear in that. Many people say there's only two emotions in life, love and fear. Which will you come from? I invite you to come from that heart of love, from that nature, the very nature of your divine being, the love that is within you. Not to come from the mask that you would put on to hide who you really are. The mask of prejudice or hatred or self-importance or whatever mask you might be wanting to put on. But to open your heart and come from that place of love. Jean Houston said, "We all have extraordinary coded within us, just waiting to be released." Can you release the extraordinary within you and let the world experience that? Science of Mind, textbook 617, Ernest says, the infinite is always at peace because there is nothing to disturb it. A realization of our oneness with omnipresence brings peace. When you recognize your oneness with Spirit, with God, when you live from that place within that is pure love, unconditional love for yourself and for the world, then you can drop your mask and you can reveal who you really are, the divine being, that wonderful light that is Spirit in you, as you, and through you. A soldier went to his commanding officer and said, "My friend is not back from the battlefield, sir, requesting permission to go out and get him." "Request denied," said the officer. "I don't want you to risk your life for a man who is probably dead." Disobeying the orders, the soldier went anyway. An hour later, he returned, carrying the corpse of his friend, but he himself was mortally wounded as well. The officer was filled with grief. "I told you not to go, that he was dead. Now I've lost both of you. Tell me, was it worth it to go out there and bring back a corpse?" And the soldier said, "Oh, yes, sir, it was. You see, when I got to him, he said, 'John, I knew you would come.'" What would you do for love that you would never do for pay? Will you live your life authentically? Will you allow yourself to be opened to all that you are? Cultivate the deep friendships that are available to you, the people that will love you back as you love them. Know that when you strip away all the mask and allow yourself to be seen for who you really are, you will be one with the divine. And friends will flock to you because people love God. They love the Spirit. They love the feeling of the presence. And whether they identify that as God or, "Wow, you're really a nice person," or "I just feel good when I'm around you," they don't have to identify it as Spirit, but they identify that there's something different about you. It's that you're not putting on all the mask to hide who you truly are. You're living with a heart wide open. You're living with a life that comes from the power of Spirit. Dr. Holmes said, "A realization of our oneness with omnipresence brings peace." Are you at peace in your life? Or are you about the busyness of trying to put on the mask that will hide the true you from other people? Summarizing here, when we come from love, we live an authentic life. And that is the best we can do. And when love lives within us, then we have no fear. For we know the power of the divine is lifting us up and taking us through each and every situation. Come from love, be authentic, and live from that love within. There is no fear. When all masks are dropped, when the love that lives within will be seen, you will be at peace. You will be at peace because your connection with the infinite is no longer covered up. You allow it to flow. And so it is. Let us pray. I am so grateful for that love that is within each one of us, that nature of the one power and one presence that we call by many names: God, Mother, Father, God, the divine intelligence, infinite love. And I know that that very nature of unconditional love is my nature and is the nature of each person on this planet. As we open ourselves to come from that nature of love within us, that love that is powered by the one source, that is the true us, we will find peace in our life. We will find joy. When we can ask, what will love do? We will know that peace is ours, that joy is ours, and that we live our lives authentically, not trying to cover up anything, but trying to be open to Spirit and allowing that one power and presence to flow through us and create the world that we want to live in. I bless each of us as we move through our spiritual journey, knowing that life is good and very good. I release my word, and together we say, and so it is.